Everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming out tonight, and welcome to our Focus 203 Community Engagement Workshop session. It is great to see so many of you here to participate in this process. Your participation today is critical, as you will help us select the topics for subsequent sessions. As community members, two of us have volunteered to act as chairs for the program. My name is Colleen Smith. You will hear from my co-chair, Melanie Manning, in a few minutes. But first, let me share why I'm excited to be a part of this process. I've lived in Naperville for 8 years with my family, and I believe in the power of community engagement as a means to lift our children and our school. I'm a co-founder of the Success Parent Organization, an active member at 100 Black Men of Chicago, a member of the District 203 Diversity Committee, and a volunteer for the DuPage County NAACP. I also work as a principal systems architect at CSG, one of the largest cable and telecom providers in the world. And I'm excited to be a part of the Focus 203 initiative. I'm encouraged that the future focus of District 203 will be guided by the community. Thank you for being a part of this engagement process. I look forward to hearing your perspective and ideas for how to ensure that Naperville 203 remains the top performing large unit school district in Illinois. The word community is key to this program. Community members are playing an essential role in facilitating the program, and you, as community members, will be vital to the discussions and decisions during the process. The work we are about to commence is extremely important. These sessions represent a first-hand forum to learn more directly from district leadership. Our district is in an enviable and strong position. However, the pace and depth of change impacting the educational landscape continues. Community engagement is a progressive, proactive, and positive way for all stakeholders to embrace that change. And now I'd like to introduce Melanie Manning, and she can share a little bit about herself.
My name is Melanie Manning, and until a few years ago, I practiced law in the Will County State's Attorney's Office. In 2014, my family and I moved to Naperville, and I became a stay-at-home mom. Currently, I am a third grader at Riverwoods Elementary and a freshman here at Naperville Central. Before we moved, I was involved with Joliet Junior Women's Club, and since moving here, I've become very involved with Home and School Associations, both at Riverwoods and Central. And I'm also vice president of National Charity League, which is a mother-daughter service organization. We work with Planted Peace in the Naperville area. I'm honored to lend my leadership and my service to the steering committee and for the Focus 203 Community Engagement Initiative. I cannot think of a better way to serve my community than to try and help improve our already outstanding schools. The purpose of Focus 203 is to provide our stakeholders, students, staff, parents, community, everyone, connected to our district to have a voice and to provide input that will assist the administration in partnership with the Board of Education to develop plans for today, tomorrow, and the future. In a nutshell, the charge for this program is twofold. First, engage community to understand both the promise and the opportunities in District 203. Second, develop plans for the intermediate, immediate, and long-term future of our district. Please read the goals on this page, and let me touch on a few of the highlighted. The first bullet communicates some important concepts, getting the aspirations, desires, and priorities. A big agenda for us with some hard work ahead, so I hope you're all ready. Secondly, the concept of priorities. Prioritizing our discussions and decisions will be key. And lastly, the final bullet point is so important in terms of building and maintaining the dialogue.
So in order to ensure our community is represented in the planning of the Focus 203 sessions, a steering committee has been established to assist district administration in the process. The steering committee is a group of dedicated community volunteers who, together with District 203 representatives, have accepted the responsibility for facilitating the engagement process from its initial session for a final report to the board and committee towards the end of the school. This team, consisting of approximately 20 individuals, helps with decisions regarding process, strategy, and communication. We will meet regularly to develop agendas, review discussion materials, and keep the program focused and on task. So you can find them easily. Facilitating team members are wearing special name tags. At this time, I would ask the facilitating team members to stand and be recognized. So the entire community, all District 203 residents and stakeholders are invited and encouraged to attend these workshop sessions that are designed and governed by the facilitating team. The topics will focus on strategic areas for district continuous improvement. Following an informational presentation on the topic, you will work in small groups to discuss and arrive at collective decisions that impact the future of the district. Many of you here have attended a Focus 203 session in the past, and you are familiar with our process. For those of you who are new to the engagement series, I'd like to take a moment to explain our format. Each of our sessions will follow a timed agenda. Each session will start with an informational presentation about the topic chosen for the workshop, followed by a small group work activity, giving you the opportunity to respond to the presentation. It is important to note that these sessions will not be conducive to the format of an open forum or debate. There are work sessions focused on results and reaching consensus or collective decisions as a group. We want to maximize our time to be as positive and productive as possible while still allowing for the free exchange of ideas. The intent is to involve a large number of people that is as representative of the community as possible.
Here's how the process will be documented. When you arrived, you should have received a packet of information. In that packet, among other things, you will find a copy of this presentation. Following our presentations tonight and tomorrow, we will prepare verbatim responses from each small group's worksheet and an executive summary reflecting the collective work of all participants in the session. We will also post a video of the presentations on the district's website. All Focus 203 State of the District information, materials, and documents will be posted on the district website. Go to www.naperville203.org to receive district news and updates. If you haven't already done so, please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Naperville203 and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected to the district. You can take a moment now if you'd like to check in on Facebook and use #Focus203. We know your time is very valuable, and we want to honor a 2-hour time commitment for each session. So each session will end at the promised time or earlier. We have planned a pretty tight agenda for each of the sessions. We have a lot to cover in a short period of time. As such, it will be important for us not to interrupt any presenter with questions. There will be questions or comments that may or may not be directly related to the topic being studied. So we have placed some I have a question comment forms on each table. If you have a question or comment, then we are not able to respond during the small group time or during the second half of the evening, please complete one of the forms and turn it in at the end of the session. You can also call or send us an email. We will have the appropriate person respond in a timely manner. Now that we have covered all the details about purpose and process, I would like to introduce to you our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Jennifer Hester, and the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Jane Willard.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight to learn about how we at Naperville 203 support students with their academic and social and emotional growth. The outcomes for tonight's presentation are to understand why all students need academic and social and emotional support, to identify different types of support students receive in District 203, and to understand how teachers work together to provide different types of support. In Naperville 203, the academic and social and emotional growth of each and every one of our students is incredibly important, and Strategic Blueprint Commitment 1.18e, the multi-tiered system of support, helps educators meet that goal. This commitment simply guides our teachers and administrators to ensure that every student meets the grade level or course expectations for academic subjects like math or reading, and that students meet grade level expectations for social and emotional learning skills like self-awareness or responsible decision-making. The system of support provides a means for the students to receive additional help when they need it or more challenge when they need it. The state of Illinois and the federal government require all districts to provide intervention services for students through response to intervention, and those services are included in District 203's system of support. I'm going to give you all a fair warning. I'm going to ask for some audience participation. So in the spirit of keeping this presentation focused on our students, I would like to invite everyone to pause for a minute and think about a student that you know. Maybe yourself as a student, maybe your own child, or a child with whom you've had interactions with. Please give me a thumbs up when you have that student in mind. I would bet that at some point in time that the student you were thinking of needed additional time or targeted instruction to meet the academic and social and emotional demands that they experienced. And I would also bet that at some point in time that that student was engaged in learning where they needed more academic challenge. When I give the direction, I'd like to invite you at your tables to please tell your table mates about the student that you had in mind and a skill that they needed developed or extended. So for example, I was thinking about a student, a kindergarten student, who struggled to attach sounds to letters in early kindergarten. Now I'll call you back, I'm going to give you this hand signal, and I'm going to count down with a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 after you share. So if you go ahead and please share. Be back in a minute, so it's just a 1-minute warning. Five, four, three, two, one. All right, thank you so much for sharing your stories about the students that you were thinking about. So now, if we were to all imagine that if we would take all of those students that you were just thinking about, and if we were to put them into one of our classrooms, my guess is that there would be a very diverse set of both academic and social and emotional needs from the students. And if we were to put those in one of our classrooms, our teachers would really have to think through and differentiate for all of those students. So now if we go to our actual classrooms, our students do bring a very diverse set of skills to our classrooms, and our teachers strive to respond to all of the students' needs in front of them. And just like the students that you were thinking of, our teachers seek understanding of how each student learns, and they plan instruction that matches both the social and emotional needs of the learner and the academic needs of the learner. The goal for all of these students, the ones you were thinking of, the students in our classrooms, is that they achieve and grow regardless of their experience, regardless of their background knowledge, and regardless of their current performance. When describing how our teachers provide students with academic or social and emotional supports, it's important to define and understand the significance of what we call the core curriculum. The term curriculum is used to define the learning outcomes in each grade level, like 4th grade, or in a particular course, like high school biology. We have rigorous curriculum for every academic subject area, and you can see some of those on the screen, and for our social and emotional skills. You can think of curriculum as a written plan of the concepts and skills students need to know and be able to do at each grade level or in a particular course. We call our written curriculum the core curriculum because it's essential that all students across the district both access and attain the concepts and skills within the time frame of the school year or within the time frame of a given course. The concepts and skills are determined by the learning standards which are provided by the state of Illinois. It's also important to know that our teachers then take the core curriculum and they develop what we call student-friendly learning targets. And student-friendly learning targets are short-term learning goals within a grade level or course. So an example for 3rd grade math target could be, I can multiply fluently within 100. For 7th grade, an example of a learning target for social and emotional learning might be, I can apply strategies to manage stress. And finally, an example from high school biology, a learning target might be, I can conduct a scientific investigation to determine characteristics that would define something as living. So with these targets, instruction is specifically designed to help all students meet the learning targets, and students are involved in the process of meeting the target as they engage in learning and as they receive feedback from their teachers as to how they can meet that target. The majority of our students come prepared for the rigor that we've outlined in that core curriculum. However, there are times when students do need additional instruction on specific standards in order to close achievement gaps or increase student achievement. There are three ways in which our teachers support students, and those are through interventions, extensions, and acceleration. When students need more time in instruction to learn core curriculum, we call that intervention. Intervention provides students with targeted support in the areas of academic and social and emotional learning to guarantee readiness and success in grade level content. Interventions are targeted, they're systematic, they're timely, and they're research-based to meet the needs of the diverse learners in front of our teachers. Interventions are differentiated to advance learning to close academic and behavioral gaps. They build readiness for the next level of learning, and our interventions ensure student success. Extensions are purposely designed for students who have demonstrated high levels of learning within and beyond the grade level standards. Extensions provide opportunities for students to apply and transfer their skills to complex topics and situations. So you can think of extensions as learning horizontally in the curriculum. The teacher plans instruction that enriches and expands the content knowledge through carefully grouping and through the instructional design, and by increasing the complexity and the rigor of the grade level target. Acceleration is a form of vertical extension beyond the grade level content standards. And acceleration provides access to the next level of learning in specific subject areas or in complete grade level curriculum. We typically accelerate small groups of students in the areas of literacy and math in our district. Our teams give careful consideration to students' academic and social and emotional well-being before making a decision to accelerate learning. This allows our teams to ensure a school-life balance. Again, the goal of instruction is that students achieve and grow in the core curriculum. And just like the students you are thinking about, our students' needs for supports are fluid. At times, they need intervention in the classroom to be successful, and at other times, they need extensions or possibly an acceleration to be challenged in the core curriculum. But most of the time, our core curriculum provides the rigor and challenge, and our teachers differentiate instruction to meet students where they are. And usually, no formal intervention or extension is needed.
The next series of slides provides detailed information on how students are supported and what types of support students receive in our core curriculum at the elementary level, at the junior high level, and at the high school level. Let's go back to the third grade learning target. I can multiply fluently within 100 to understand how our teacher teams collaborate to ensure success for all students. The PLC, or the professional learning community, is made up of grade level teachers who come together to design instruction for meeting this math target. They work together to plan instruction for the students by answering 4 important questions. First, they answer, what do we expect students to learn? The professional learning community answers this question by collaborating to plan instruction for all students that is aligned to this unit target, multiplies fluently within 100. Second, they ask, how will we know they are learning? The PLC analyzes data they gather through team-created assessments to understand who is meeting this target, who needs more instruction, and who maybe needs to accelerate in multiplication. Next, they answer, how will we respond if they're not showing progress? This is when the PLC designs additional math instruction aligned to the target. And finally, how will we respond if they have already demonstrated proficiency? The PLC works to increase the complexity of the standard by creating complex, problem-solving tasks that require students to apply their knowledge of multiplication to a new setting. This team maps out the unit and designs common assessments so that they can progress monitor student learning throughout the unit to identify who is meeting the target, who needs additional support, and what students may need extension within the core. Here's an example of a math intervention designed for students who did not meet the multiplication target. Through their weekly collaboration and data review, the PLC determines that a small group of third grade students have not yet met the end-of-unit expectation for multiplying whole numbers. The professional learning community determines that these students may need 25 minutes of intervention 3 times a week to build the necessary multiplication skills. The PLC designs the intervention and determines who will provide that instruction. Students receive this intervention in addition to the core math instruction that is being provided during the designated math time. The multiplication intervention is scheduled at a time during the day that does not interrupt or remove students from the core math instruction. Here is an example of an extension that's aligned to that very same target. During collaboration, the PLC has also determined that a small group of 3rd grade students have already demonstrated proficiency with multiplying whole numbers within 100. These students fluently know their facts and are ready to apply this knowledge to a more complex setting rather than just the rote application. The teachers on this team work to design problem-solving tasks that challenge students to apply this knowledge to complex, multidimensional math problems. These extensions are designed to be implemented during core instruction, and students are grouped according to their needs based on the data they've collected. Some students in 3rd grade are accelerated through honors math beginning in trimester 2. Finally, the 3rd grade PLC has also identified just 2 students in the grade level who do not have the 2nd grade prerequisite skills needed to be able to multiply within 100. These 2 students need additional time with the concept of addition. The PLC needs support from the IST, or what we call the Instructional Support Team. This team is made up of school specialists, such as the special education teacher, the math specialist, social worker, school psychologist, school counselor, English learning teacher, and other school specialists. They lead the development of implementing and monitoring intensive supports for students demonstrating an educational need, regardless if they are receiving special education services. They take over the planning for these 2 students since they have the expertise in high-impact instructional strategies. Students receiving this intervention may be working on repeated addition using models. The instructional support team regularly checks in with the grade level PLC to update progress and ensure that students are progressing toward the learning outcome. There are times when this collaboration can lead to students being recommended for special education evaluation. However, the goal of this intensive intervention is for students to successfully transition this learning back into the core curriculum. Here's an example of how students are supported at the junior high school level. In this example, a 7th grade student is struggling to manage stress and is not completing work in or outside of the classroom. The grade level team, such as the Bears, comes together as a PLC during their planning time to identify the grade level SEL skill that needs to be taught and develop the intervention to support the student with that skill and standard. They may request that the social worker or the counselor joins them to help plan this intervention. The team analyzes the data to understand the exact student needs and to see if there are other students who may benefit from the same supports. The team then designs the intervention, decides how they will progress monitor, and creates a plan for instruction. In our current school day structure, the intervention is delivered during supervised study or during a different time of the day when the students can all meet. This slide focuses on a science extension at the high school level. A student is demonstrating proficiency, excitement, and inquiry with the essential standards in chemistry. This student shows engagement during class and seeks additional challenges. The PLC, consisting of the chemistry teacher, reviews the data and identifies other students with a similar profile that could use some extension opportunities outside of the core classroom. In our current structure, our teachers open their classrooms before school, during lunch, and after school for students to engage in self-directed chemistry labs. This structure does not identify all students who could benefit from an extension and is dependent on teacher availability throughout the day. This support works for some students, but we know there are others who, due to time constraints, are missing out on these extended learning opportunities. As you can see with all of these plans, we have dedicated professionals who collaborate to meet the needs of all learners through the core curriculum and provide interventions and extensions within our elementary, junior high, and our high school day. We believe we are well positioned for supporting all students. We have dedicated students and involved parents and guardians. Our schools are staffed with high quality and caring professionals. We implement a rigorous, cohesive curriculum. Our classrooms are well-resourced, and every school has a well-articulated, effective school improvement plan. Along with our celebrations do come some challenges. We do lack consistent time for professional collaboration across all levels, and dedicated time to provide interventions and extensions for all students. As a district, we are looking for ways to increase our teachers and students, time to increase for our teachers and students in order to increase the quality of our supports. Interventions and extensions do take time. Students must have time to engage in the core curriculum, plus receive planned supports when needed. Sometimes this instruction comes as part of the classroom, and sometimes our teachers will need a flex period to consistently provide that support. We have had committees at elementary, junior high, and high school analyzing the use of time during the school day. These committees have developed recommendations for the Board of Education to consider. We'll close our presentation with summarizing the keys to supporting all students. District 203 supports every student in the core curriculum. Interventions are designed to help students achieve the core, and extensions are designed for those students in need of an additional challenge. A suite of assessments are used to provide students with feedback on their learning and to determine the level of support needed for all students. Our teachers meet in their professional learning communities and as instructional support team members to review and apply what they learned from assessment to put into practice. Success of our systems of supports rests on the quality of the core instruction, of the intervention, extensions, and sometimes acceleration. These supports are added to reinforce the core, since the core is never taken away. And lastly, students are always most successful when a powerful partnership is developed between teachers and their parents. This partnership relies on teachers inviting parents as partners and regularly communicating student progress within the core curriculum. Parents, you can best support your child by staying informed, by talking to your teacher about their performance at school, by reviewing your child's progress through our reporting system, by communicating regularly with your classroom teacher and seeking understanding of the supports that your student is receiving. You can also read and review teacher communications, such as weekly newsletters, announcements on Canvas, and classroom notifications. Our fundamental goal of every support is to ensure that every student achieves and every student grows. Thank you for coming out this evening and to learn about our systems of support, and I will turn this back over to Khalid.
All right, let's give another round of applause. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Willard. Now it's time for us to go to work. Let's go through some instructions to make sure that everyone understands their task. Okay, so each of you received a small group activity worksheet in your packet. You will use this document to capture your individual thoughts and reactions. You will also find a pink version of this worksheet in the center of your table. Please select a recorder and facilitator at your table. Once group work begins, the recorder is responsible for completing the information requested on the pink-colored official worksheet in the center of the table. Be sure to complete the information in the box in the upper right corner, and this worksheet will be collected at the conclusion of the session. The facilitator should facilitate discussions, keep the group focused and on task so the work is completed in the allotted time, and report the group's information as time permits. The purpose of the small group work is to allow our community to provide our district with this input. We ask that the administrators and Board of Education members allow our community stakeholders to lead these conversations and take the leadership roles in the groups. Please make sure the information recorded on the group's worksheet reflects the collective decision, general agreement, consensus of everyone at the table, not just the opinion of one or two individuals. I'll look out in the audience. Monitor your time and progress to make sure you complete your work in the allotted time. At the end of the session, we will only collect the pink worksheet that has been completed by the recorder.
For the next 10 to 15 minutes, please discuss what you see as the greatest strengths and how the district provides support for all students. Then begin to consider, what do you see as the greatest challenge in supporting all students as described in the presentation? May start now. Okay, we should be finished or wrapping up task 1 now. And we are going to move on to task 2, priorities. In the spirit of continuous improvement, please consider how we might improve the system to get better results and to improve outcomes for students and staff. Part A of task 2 will ask you to rank order your ideas for improving the system of supports to achieve better results for students. Part B, rank order the additional resources that you think teachers and parents need to improve outcomes for all students. You will have 20 to 25 minutes to reflect, discuss, and arrive at a consensus. With the last 5 minutes, please work together on task 3 to list the top celebrations, opportunities, and priority needs identified at your table. And please remember, our Chief Academic Officer and the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction are available for you. If you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand. So we'll start our 25 minutes now.
All right, so now it's time to hear from the facilitator and spokesperson at your table. We will bring a microphone to your table and try to get as many groups as possible and still stay true to our commitment to getting you out in time. We ask the facilitator, spokesperson, to be brief so we can hear from as many groups as possible. Also, we request that the spokesperson only report the information on the worksheet. Please do not provide a personal editorial about the information. Remember, the pink worksheet from each table will be collected. The pink worksheet, that table. You got it? Okay. You got the pink worksheet? Pink worksheet. The pink worksheet from each table will be collected at the end of the session and a document will be produced. Sorry? You got the pink worksheet? Okay. Will be produced containing the verbatim information recorded by each group. So the pink worksheet is what's going to go back to the actual administrative setting. So let's get started. We'll ask the community chairpersons. That's good. Yeah, let's get started.
Sure. Good evening. Our table said that our strengths are caring people, supporting kids, specifically school community, the teachers, the parents, etc. Some of our opportunities for growth is having the resources available to actually do that growing. And then our priority needs is to find a way to empower our students to achieve the level of
All right, table 11.
everybody. So for table 11, we said that strengths we like are the same structure. Opportunities, we just want more communication between teachers and parents. And priority needs are that we need more early intervention for the identification of learning needs and then more resources for parents to support them.
The voice of our strengths was excellent staff and a supportive mindset. And opportunities was time and organization. And our priority needs were time also and more staff.
I didn't know I was speaking. Okay, so our strengths were the teacher availability and approachability of the teachers and the AP staff. The opportunities were if we could provide teacher training to identify the strengths and the weaknesses of the students and be able to respond to them, to meet and cater to those needs of the different student types, and also know about their resources and availability that those teachers should have access to. And priorities needed. For the priority need was to have availability and time for the teachers before and after school and access for the students.
We determined as strengths diversity in curriculum and resources available to meet commitment of having each student succeed. As far as opportunities, we talked about assessing the current situation in the schools as far as all the services and resources that are offered, and seeing if there's a need for more resources, more time, and talent. And then as far as priority needs, we just talked about time and resource.
Well, learn. Okay, so for our strengths was resources available for all students. We have pretty well rich with resources. Opportunities, looking for better allocation for available time. And then our priority, more individual group instructional time.
Thank you so much for your work. I'm excited about this process and the number of people who came out tonight to participate. I'm also impressed with the level of interest and the sincerity that we've seen at the tables tonight with which you approach this activity. This is what it takes. And at each session, for us to produce a quality set of recommendations for the Board of Education, but it looks like we're up to the task. Remember the state of the So our next session will be Wednesday, January 30th from 7 to 9 here, and Thursday, January 31st from 9 to 11 at the Grace United Methodist Church. In the meantime, please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas with any of us serving on the facilitating team so we can make this process as meaningful and as productive as possible. And please remember, any question, comment forms that were filled out, please leave them at your table and someone will get back to you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.